That's hilarious. It's going to catch me in mid burp. I just know it. Like that's when it's going to screen cap. Ready?
Done? Okay.
Where's my... Oh. Why, hello, and welcome to issue 574 of Geek in the City of Radio. I am one of your hosts, Aaron Duran.
I'm one of your other hosts, Rita.
And I'm your other host, Cable Hashitami.
What's up, party people?
Well, I thought the cat was going to disconnect me from this call.
It's Tuesday. It is Tuesday, right?
That's right. Okay. Just another day in paradise. Oh, God damn it. Now I have that song in my head.
I must not know what song. I must not know that song because it's not ringing any. I'm not getting anything out of that.
That's a... Is that a Genesis or Phil Collins? I don't remember. Just another
It's a Phil
day.
Collins.
It's a Phil Collins one, right? Yeah.
It's just another day in paradise. Yep.
People always forget like how many like social and political songs he wrote is because everything he did is like this soft rock, and he's all talking about like homelessness and like he wrote like some really serious stuff, but it was all kind of like smooth rock. You can play it for your grandmother; she'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
It'll make her sway her hips.
Just the pleasant decay of society. That's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
For all the good it did. I was thinking, I'm like, well, that makes it more palatable to more people, right? If it's not too intense, and that way your message gets further. Like, nope, no, that didn't happen. So, I got nothing.
Yeah, it is. You know, what are we gonna do?
Good question.
So, yeah, cool story, bro.
We're gonna do this show.
Yeah, I gotta apologize now. Like, I'm in a mood today. Yeah, I'm just in a mood, so I'm gonna try to snap myself out of it here, whatnot. By the way, I'm rubbing my hands to get my weed inhaler oil to soften up so that it works better. Like now. Yeah, that'll work.
Oil. So you're smoking the oil? You're vaporizing the
Yeah.
oil? What's happening?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
It's a vape pen.
It's a vape pen. But it mellows me out. It helps with anxiety, Denise.
Congratulations on joining that club.
It's not like you're seeing me outside like blowing tufts in the air.
You're not going to join any competitive vape
No. And
tournaments?
both of you know my stance on like the smell of weed anyway. I don't really like it, but it does. So it's a healthier alternative to pounding 5 of these to relax.
Mm-hmm.
That is actually true. I definitely had an edible last night to make sure I got some sleep.
Yeah, it's always like, well, I can take like 3 or 4 hits off this vape pen, or I can pound a 6-pack of beer or do 4 shots of whiskey. One of those is much better for me than the other 2.
Yeah.
True.
Mm-hmm.
He says while drinking beer and smoking weed. But I'm just going to have the one.
It is November of the year 2020. It's fine.
That is true. And we are officially back in a super extreme lockdown, which is not as fun as Super Extreme Elimination Challenge.
No, we've been treading water for 6 months, and now we're back with our heads under the water again.
Yep.
So.
I would like to point out that we have been at various stages of lockdown back and forth for months. There are thousands of Portlanders that have still gone to work every day, and they've gone out for whatever reason they've had to for months. So there is no, for them, there's never been a lockdown. There's never been a quarantine. There's never been any type of shutdown. Oh, I've lost this, I've lost that. It's like, no, I've still had to show up for work.
I by no means was referring to that. I just meant like the actual virus and how many people it is, killing off.
I get that.
No, the whole socioeconomic part of it is just like I don't even want to touch it with a 10-foot pole, because there really aren't anything, and there really aren't that many things by way of silver linings.
No.
Like, yeah, okay, you kept your job and you do that, you're maintaining your income, but you're also running a higher risk all the time. Or you can lose your job and just be totally insecure about your future this whole year. It's
there's like no one saying like, well, things are going fine for me. You're either maintaining your income and you're terrified you're going to get sick and get all your loved ones sick, or you're staying home because you have lost all sources of income, so you're not going to catch anything, but you're also wondering if you're going to be able to pay rent, buy food, survive.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I want to see more people vocal about the fact, and more pressure put on every level of government, from city to federal, that the only thing to do is shut down. And in order to do that, you have to pay everyone to stay home. And
Yes.
I'm like, you have to actually pay them real money so that they can afford to stay home. One time, $1,200. That's all bullshit.
No.
Well, what was part of AOC's plan? $2,000 per person per month through March.
For at least the next 6 months. I got an email from Earl Blumenauer about that. I haven't finished reading it, but he's on that train too.
And it's not like the U.S. doesn't have that money, because we're still building bombers and stealth fighters during this.
Yeah, and I think $2,000 a month is just right. Like if that. I don't know what it was. Chances are that's going to be a really strong, like a robust support system for anyone who's working minimum wage or only a little bit above that. Anyone with families to support, whether that's like kids or maybe like an elderly or sickly adult in your family who can't be working right now, but they used to be able to provide additional income for your household.
Mm-hmm.
And in addition to that, like, we also need rent and mortgage freezes. Like, everyone just stops. It all just stops.
Mm-hmm.
And we live in a capitalist society, so money is going to have to be exchanged in some places,
See, and that's what throws me is, yes, we are a capitalist society. So are a bunch of socialist countries.
Yeah.
We are screwed up kind of capitalism.
No, we're exploitive.
Yes. Other countries that have capitalism may force those companies to pay real money.
Yeah.
They don't get tax breaks. They're required to take care of their workers because that's the only way they survive.
Right.
I am sick and tired of socialism being a boogeyman to people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of small concessions being that's the best we can do. It's like, no, just burn it all down and start over.
No, you're just not trying hard enough.
Yeah, it's like you don't want to give up what you have. That is why.
Yeah, you're choosing not to.
The focus needs to stop being about not just this is what we should do. It's this is what we should do because we have to take this from these people. There is the Jeff Bezos of the world, or the Bezoses of the world, are the ones that we need to take the money from. Again, I know that I'm very much on the train of forced wealth redistribution, because I don't think it's going to happen any other way except forced.
At this point, I mean, I really have a hard time picturing like gradually moving away from it. We're like more than halfway to Greg Rucka's, oligarchy nation.
Mhm.
And
we're way past year X.
Mm-hmm.
We're X+2 right now. X+3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
X was 2017, right? At this point.
Yeah, just about.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I can see that. And we're just, especially if, anybody with any sort of a quote unquote socialist cant is unable to gain more traction in Congress or in the White House, then those little policies are just going to keep chipping away at anybody who's below middle class, and just keep stacking it on the 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 small percentage of wealthy people, and that there just becomes less and less ability to stanch it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm like it. It's what you say, Cable. Like I have a hard time picturing anything that isn't like forcing it.
Yeah. And the problem is the people that are actively interested in doing governmental overthrow or forced distribution like this are the same people that believe that there is a global pedophile conspiracy.
Wait, what?
QAnon. He's talking about QAnon.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were.
Yeah.
I misheard you for a split second. I was like, wait a minute. Is Cable agreeing with the Bilderberg shit? I was like, that doesn't sound right.
No.
By the way, I just looked up. I was looking up the Lazarus timeline, and X+2, X+3. It's the Supreme Court rules 5-4 for the Corporate Citizens Act, which I'm sure we're going to get there pretty soon. It's the natural progression from Citizens United.
Although,
yeah,
I mean, I guess
that's in the comic where corporations are become citizens. They're counted as citizens.
Right.
So we're not far from that.
What was I going to say?
Sorry.
No, it's gone.
Yeah, I brought up the QAnon stuff because I was listening to the Why Is This Happening podcast by Chris Hayes. And there was an episode that he did about QAnon I'm like, I need to listen to this because while I know that QAnon is crazy and they're crazy,
right?
I didn't know in which ways they specifically were crazy, and now I have a better understanding. And wow.
So there's a podcast called Q Clearance. Right now they're on part 10, okay. I think. So like every week or so, this guy does like a 30-minute breakdown of like trying to get to the source of who Q or the first Q was. Because in this podcast series, he talks about how he believes it's somebody else now. And you'll get into depths of like 4chan, and then they went away and went into 8chan and just all kinds of just horrible, dark places of the internet.
And 8chan is rebranded. It's 8 something now.
Yeah, it got rebranded. Yeah, because the guy who programmed it basically quit and is like in hiding in Thailand now or some shit.
The Philippines,
yeah. Where Art Bell bought his wife.
God damn it!
All right, I'm not going to have details because apparently I've used up all of my free articles on all of the websites where I want to get my news from, and I'm not going to click on these other websites, but I did remember and start Googling what it was. It was that the Supreme Court looks like they're going to uphold the Affordable Care Act as it is right now.
Yeah, I'd heard that was likely going to happen.
I think there's one thing that they want to change, but for the most part, they're keeping it intact, and that was very unexpected.
There's a lot of things I'm not going to forgive, but I will certainly give a nod to any of the people that 45 appointed to the Supreme Court that are basically just going, oh yeah, no, we used him to get here, but we're not voting for anything that we're not helping him do anything.
Brett Kavanaugh was on the side to retain
the
ACA, and I was so very surprised by that.
What was John Roberts? Did you see it?
Yes, he was also on the side of the ACA.
He was appointed by W, and he is conservative, but I've noticed he's not a big fan of overturning something that's already been approved once.
Yep. And this has been like the third third time it's been brought to the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
The Affordable Care Act?
Yes.
I don't think I realized it had
This is the
been up so
third
many
time
times.
the third time during 45's administration. And it's failed.
Yeah, it happened
Shut.
once under Obama and that the approach that the Republican Party used is that it's a unconstitutional tax, because if you don't sign up, you're penalized, and they argue that that's a tax. The Supreme Court's like, it's not a tax.
And then they did away with that, which completely took away that argument. Like it knocked the feet out right underneath it.
Mm-hmm. If that's the one, like that's like the only like argument you come up with, fine.
Yep.
And I mean,
and I love how
I always had a hard time with that one. Obviously, I've never had to deal with the repercussions of not having coverage, because I've been under the care of the VA since the Affordable Care Act went into effect. And so that by then, even though it's not really insurance, I get bypassed on being fined.
Right.
But if not for that, there would be many, many years in my life where and I've known people who are like, I can afford the fine, but I can't afford the premiums.
Yeah, because the fine is a one-time hit at the end of the year, and half the people are going to dodge anyway. Mm-hmm. I went through a vast time in my life where my healthcare plan, I say it as like a joke, where I laugh, but it wasn't a joke. I went for years where my healthcare plan was like, buy one, get one free, generic NyQuil, and a bottle of whiskey. It was like, just numb my body, give it cough medicine, and hope to God it's nothing serious. Mm-hmm. And that if it's anything that requires a doctor, I'm going to go into debt. Period.
Yep. And I was like really, really lucky never to have any serious problems in the years that I was uninsured.
For a year, like even there was a time period where Jen and I were essentially, this is before ACA got passed, we were essentially freelancers. She was a contractor. I was freelancing. We both have what they consider pre-existing conditions. I have they count asthma as a pre-existing condition. I was denied so many private health cares. They were like, nope, you're too much of a risk.
For asthma?
Yes.
Isn't asthma kind of common?
Yeah.
That's the one piece of language that I want struck from all insurance plans.
Pre-existing conditions?
There is no such thing as pre-existing conditions.
And also,
it's called being human.
Yeah, it's called having a body.
That's all it is.
I'm on Wellbutrin now probably for the rest of my life because I have a chemical imbalance that creates depression and anxiety. A lot of people do. It runs in my family, even though they hate to admit it. And that's an argument I get to have really soon. We had to apply a few years ago, right lately, again on the before. Actually, no, it wasn't. It was after the ACA had been passed, but like we did some digging. And if they'd have found out that I was on and Jen's on some stuff also, and I'm on Wellbutrin, without the ACA, most of the insurance companies would either deny us or charge us astronomical rates because they consider us a health risk because we have to take this. I have to take this one pill that keeps my chemical balance. A pill that, by the way, even without insurance, cost me like $20 a month. Like it's not like it's an expensive medicine.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
They weren't going to insure you for having the need of it already.
Yeah, it's equivalent of buying a bottle of ibuprofen every month. Like it ain't expensive. So it's not like they're like, oh God. Yeah, no, it was like, well, yeah.
Yeah. But like the point being like I said, like the Affordable Care Act came out at a time where I was finally able to get insured. But for a long time, I didn't have insurance. And if not for the VA, I would have had to weigh that difference. And I know that those fines, like they push that money forward into other programs. So it's not like it was just like going to one rich asshole again.
Right.
So I know that they were doing useful things with that money, but it is really hard to see people be penalized for not spending money they just can't afford. If you want to have a mandate that everyone has insurance, then you have to provide a society where everyone can afford it. That's it.
Yeah. Yep.
Or start giving it away for free like Canada.
Except it's not free. We're already paying into it.
I know.
That's what I hate. It's not you. I hate it when someone says, well, you just give it all away. Like, but it's not giving it away.
No, I'm
Like,
giving it
You
all away to the
already
military.
pay for it. Yeah.
And you know what? And I'm tired of the tax rate so much. I was like, you know what? When you break down how much you're taxed and what you get back and what you make, we actually don't pay that much more than most socialized medicine in Europe and in
It's
Canada.
just that our money goes to stuff that doesn't actually benefit us.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I bring her up a lot. You know, like our friend and like friend of the show, like Anno, I'm not gonna speak like out of turn, but you know, she has a decent income. It's not crazy. It's not high. It's like what you would call middle class, I guess. And she has a nice flat. She gets like 4 or 6
I believe
weeks
she refers to that as her dream apartment.
Yeah, and I've seen it. It's an awesome apartment, actually. It's really cool. She takes like 5 to 6 weeks of paid vacation every year. And I've had people say, like, well, does she get to enjoy her free time? I'm like, actually, yeah, she has a horse and she rents a stable. You know how expensive that is? Like, and she still goes on vacation. And she has a 2-bedroom apartment. And she never goes without food.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, she does.
Well, that's because, like, Europe, you have a month leave. Like, that's just built into the system. Like, everyone goes on holiday.
Mm-hmm.
The place that I interviewed for this week and last week, they offer unlimited time off. And I know that that's a little bit controversial in the corporate world because the work ethic that a company wants out of you basically usually doesn't give you a lot of opportunity to take time off whenever you want, even though there's not a quote unquote limit on it. And studies show that people who have the option of taking time off as much as whenever take less time off than if they actually had to bank their hours or like use them before they expire. Which has also been improved in Oregon, at least in the last couple of years. But when when the interviewer was telling me about that particular perk that they offer, benefit, I should say, she also mentioned that, you know, like how, you got to make sure that your work is covered while you're gone, of course. But our goal is that everyone gets a month off every year. And that blew my mind. Because like I said, I think that a lot of companies are like, well, you can have as much time off as you want, but then they know you're not going to because you feel so beholden to getting your work done all the time.
Right. I mean, being you and I, we have a friend that has an obscene amount of leave time, but they won't take it because they've been convinced that the place falls apart without them.
And that's always a bummer because what we know about what we know about work culture is that you're immediately replaceable. I'm sure that my former boss knew exactly who she was going to put in my place before even deciding to let me go. And I mean, more power to that guy. I hear he's doing a really good job, and you know, I'm happy for him. He's a good dude. But that's just a reminder that, like, no matter how much my boss was like, oh, we're all family here, and you know, I really care about you and your contributions, doesn't matter. The moment I'm gone, someone else is going to fill that seat.
No, I read something. They meant it as a joke. Well, probably not a joke, but it's 100% true. If you die, the want ad for your job will show up in the paper quicker than your obituary.
Yep. Yeah, that's probably true.
Straight up. Yeah.
There's a reason that small businesses use the whole we're like a family here line. And that is to make it acceptable when they do atrocious behavior because you let your family get away with all kinds of shit.
Yeah, which you probably shouldn't.
Yeah, they
also,
convince you of your not, I don't want to say of your value because, you know, everyone has their own value that they bring to anything, but they just make you feel beholden to them.
Well, they create a culture, like you still decide whether or not you're going to go down that path.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
But
So
they really push you into.
But it is, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
Fucking Walmart used to pull the whole like, but we're family. I'm like, no, we're not. Don't even try that crap on me. Or it's good for the team. Like, eat a bag.
Yep.
The Waltons are the richest family in this country. Not individual, but family. Like, they ain't getting shit for free out of me. It's like when I worked for Treasure Truck and my boss was like, can you install your Amazon email on your phone? I was like, fuck no. I said, yeah, I will. But every time you email me, I'm going to log 4 hours. Well, it's just an email. I'm like, you know what? We work for the richest man in the world. He gets nothing for me from free. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to do it? Like, no, not. You can either fire me or you can give me a company phone that I will turn off when I'm not at work. Okay.
Yep. That's why he's the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
His exploitation of his workers.
Mm-hmm. And I mean,
what was that thing that went up that Jeff Bezos could pay every employee $109,000 a year and he would still be the richest man in the world?
Yes.
something like that.
That's nuts. What else are we going to talk about on the show?
Well, I was going to make a comment that kind of segued into that, and that is the whole commentary about companies that say, we're family. I point you in the direction of the Ferengi rules of acquisition, in which we learn exploitation begins at home. Exploit your family.
Oh, I would say like, well, I know that like my mom is where I learned the importance of being able to say like, well, you're a hard worker. You're smart and you're a hard worker. To date, I'm 36 years old, and when I talk to my mom and I've got an interview coming up, she'll be like, well, don't forget to tell him how smart and hardworking you are.
How grateful you are just to be talking to him.
Yeah, no. Like I actually feel that I'm doing some of the best work at Guardian that I have been able to do for the entire time that I've been there. And I also feel like I'm in the better position. I'm in the best position to go. And if I felt like walking away next week, I could. Like, I can leave it there.
Yeah.
I haven't been able to feel that for years.
That's good. I'm glad that you've gotten to that place.
Definitely. Like, imagine how much better everyone would work and how much everything would just work better is if you were at your job because you wanted to be, not because you had to be. If you weren't keeping a job because you were terrified of losing healthcare or you were terrified of losing this or that. I know people that have stayed at awful jobs because they might have health issues and they know they need that insurance. So they will just get pissed on a daily basis. So
I had a former coworker who went through years of basically emotional abuse at my last job because she needed to keep the job. She's young and single and she had medical needs and she just kept putting up with it year after year. And, by the end of it, she was so like emotionally just worn down that she's in a new place now, but she still just feels like shit about herself all the time. Because she couldn't walk away from a shitty environment, even though she was totally aware of how crappy it was.
And this is why that whole plan that AOC has for $2,000 a month of pandemic relief should just go ahead and roll right on into universal basic income.
Yep.
From your lips to the prophet's ears.
Which prophet?
All of them.
The ones that live in the wormhole.
Those are the prophets I can believe in.
Last Saturday was our Star Trek Adventures night, so I'm still in Bajoran brain.
That's right. Dealing with Harry Mudd's granddaughter.
Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Lucinda Fentona Mudd.
Fentana.
That's right. She's awesome.
She's the worst. She's great, but she's the worst.
Nice.
She stole the captain's whiskey.
I
Well,
knew she would.
speaking of Star Trek,
Yes, let's.
we have a segment.
We do. It's time to roll into another issue or segment of Star Talking. There really
Star
should be a
talking,
sound
da,
here,
da,
but
Star talking across the universe.
I know. God damn it, Bean! You need to look up that song.
Sorry.
Never mind. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Ask
The
your
way you
husband about it.
the way you say it though always makes me think of an Elton John song. Crocodile Rock.
Huh. It's not that.
No, it's not.
Well, that's the way it sounds when Aaron sings it.
Sure.
So Discovery. Yeah, they found the Federation. They found Starfleet. I'm having to bring it back up again. I kind of forgot.
So yes, the synopsis is the Discovery makes it home to Starfleet headquarters, which has been relocated to a section of space where they're essentially cloaked.
Right. Yes, that's it.
It's a big cloaked space station and surrounding area so that all of these ships can be protected. And of course, the first thing that Starfleet wants to do is dissect them and count the rings on Discovery and see how old they actually are.
I mean, I couldn't 100% fault him for it.
No,
I couldn't.
That was 100% pure protocol. Like they should have, but the Discovery crew gets a chance to prove themselves, and they hope everything goes for the best.
Yeah. Well, like we're just gonna dive into it here. So they run into Admiral Magi, who's been spending most of his life trying to put Imhotep back in the ground. Actually forgot his name. I mean, Odette Fair. I know. I forgot the name of the character.
The character.
Yeah, he's the CNC Odette Fair.
Yeah. You know what? That's fine. I accept that.
Mm-hmm.
I was already hearing like, oh, it's good to see Star Trek is keeping up the tradition of like asshole power hungry admirals. I'm like, I didn't see him that way at all.
No.
Like he's
protecting what's left.
He's very protecting of what's left. And if this was your traditional crazy ass admiral or commodore, like Discovery would have had to jump out. It would have had to escape. But
yes.
You know, Burnham and Saru like convinced him, like, let us prove that we are Starfleet. We are the Federation. He's like, all right, okay, go for it.
Which gave Saru the opportunity to give that speech about the Renaissance and looking up. It's like, there we go. That's the kind of Captain Saru is.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Saru is the Starfleet captain that reminds all of us, reminds those people in Starfleet why they're in Starfleet, why they want to be a part of the Federation, why they're doing what they're doing, because they have all been looking forward so long that they have forgotten to look up. It's like that was fantastic, and I think he's there to help remind all of us why we all watch Star Trek and hope that type of hope that the Star Trek has instilled in all of us that keeps us all from giving up when clearly all signs say we should.
Yeah, no, and that's definitely been the message of Discovery so far. And this episode really nailed it. This episode I feel like this episode did a lot of hard work of bridging. It's the bridge episode in terms of we're here. Let's all figure, okay, like this is Michael's year. This is Michael's episode. This is the disco episode. Okay, this was the one that said, we've laid the foundation. Let's start the arc now.
Yep.
This was the transition episode between everything that brought them here and now what are they going to do with this new environment.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I loved this. So they have to basically get it's the MacGuffin of it basically is that the Discovery is going to try to heal this alien race that's basically dying because of a mutated protein of this food that they ate.
Mm-hmm.
And they can fix it by finding an original seed and just basically healing them.
Uninfected samples.
Yeah, so and that's, I mean, it's the plot, but it's not the story, you know?
Yeah, it's very much well, I guess it's not the B plot necessarily. It is it is what gives the episode its traction, but
Yeah.
it's not what it's about.
Exactly. Yeah. It's the skeleton that moves the story, but it's almost inconsequential. There wasn't for a second that I thought that Discovery crew was not going to save this race. Like it was gonna happen. And that's not the point.
Right.
So, the first off, they have to jump to, what is it? The USS Vance? No, Vance is the security officer that goes with them.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The USS Tikov.
Yes.
Which is basically like, it's a spaceship version of the vault that's in Norway or Iceland or wherever it's at.
Mhm.
The Seed Vault.
Seed Vault. And that not just for Earth, but for the whole galaxy, apparently.
Yeah.
That was
The entire Federation.
impressive.
Yeah, Federation.
Not the whole, not the whole galaxy.
I could have sworn she said galaxy, and that was like
It's
a lot.
It's probably the biggest seed vault in the galaxy.
That
Mm.
I'll take that.
It consists of all of the planets of the Federation at its peak, which was over 300 planets.
Something
right?
like that. Of members. Yeah.
Member
And I will
worlds.
say, yeah, the one thing I did, I had a friend of ours pointed this out too, and I totally agree with them. The USS Tikov, the interior of that ship felt so TOS. In like the best of ways. Like here's this living thing, and the plants are now growing. It had that if we had modern sci-fi technology, FX technology in the 60s, this is what they would say a seed ship looks like.
This was the episode that Merrick commented multiple times during the episode. She's like, this is the Star Trek-est episode of the Star Trek show that I've ever seen.
It is, it's Star Trek.
Very Star Trek.
It's very Star Trek.
And now that tops out episode 3, which at the time people were like, this is the most Star Trek Discovery has ever Star Trek. So it was very classic in its concept of sort of like a mission of the week or an incident of the week. It actually, being in that ship reminded me of one of our sessions, again, from Star Trek Adventures. But even though that was a planet and this was
the tree planet.
Ship. Yeah. Sort of, it was very much what I had pictured during that session, and I remember even pointing it out. I'm like, this feels very familiar.
That actually makes me feel really warm and tingly as a GM. It means I'm creating the image of Star Trek. That's a good thing.
Good.
Yeah. That made me lose track of if I was going anywhere with that.
Well, this is the one where we find out that Non stays behind.
Right.
I don't think we've seen the last of that character.
Here's my theory. Based on what we've seen so far of this season and the story that they're trying to tell, I think we're going to lose more members along the way to go home to other planets, because that's what's going to bring the planets back to become part of the Federation again.
Yeah, not to like violence, but yeah.
Yeah, I think like Non is going to go away, and when she comes back, she's going to be bringing her planet back with her.
Right.
But how are they doing that without more dilithium?
They'll find a way.
I think
that's what they need. Is they need to hear that Discovery has returned, or Discovery has come out of nowhere. They have the ability to travel places, and they are actively working with Starfleet to bring the Federation back, because they can reach where there has been, like, Discovery can, inside of a week, can put subspace relays all throughout 2 quadrants and connect everyone again.
Right.
So it really is like bringing them out of the Dark Ages.
Mm-hmm.
I can't help but wonder. Yeah, no, you're right. But it's not going to be without. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. In fact, that they've released some of the episode titles, but that one titled Unification 3 has really got me wondering. There's been no reference of Romulans or Vulcans, like, at all. But Romulans I can kind of get, but no reference of the Vulcans. I feel like something went horribly wrong in the past.
Or right. Who knows? Like, I agree with you. I think episode 7, Unification 3, is going to be nothing but Vulcans and Romulans.
I feel like maybe I should watch relevant episodes from other series before I watch that one.
The only ones to watch is Unifications Part 1 and 2 in TNG.
Yeah.
They're both in TNG?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Also, hold on. I just really want to point this out before it like goes off my screen. But Norm says that he wants to praise the casting crew on Discovery because he imagines that they just have a wall of potential space daddies from which to choose every season. Yeah. So first we had Anson Mount, and now we've got Oded Fair.
Oded Fair.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to think of any other good space daddies.
I think since we're taking a moment to pause here about casting, I would like to talk. Like, it was great seeing Oded Fair on screen, and
here it comes.
Seeing him there.
Mm-hmm.
Motherfucking David fucking Cronenberg.
David Cronenberg. Like I had heard
shit.
I had heard that like David Cronenberg had been cast for Discovery. I'm like, oh, it's going to be a wacky cameo. They're going to have him, whatever. Because filmmakers and writers love David Cronenberg. He's got a part. Like,
yes, he does.
It's a serious role, and I don't think we've seen the last of him either.
No,
I'm pretty sure him and Philippa have a lot more to.
He fucked her up.
Yes,
he fucked her up. Like, not in an abrasive way. Philippa has never dealt with someone like this character.
Nope.
Ever.
And he's the only person, like, you've put all kinds of people on screen with Michelle Yeoh's Philippa Georgiou, and she's not batted an eye. She just rises to every challenge and overcomes it. And then they go and hire David fucking Cronenberg. It's like, oh, okay. My jaw literally dropped when he came on screen. I knew nothing about his casting. Nothing.
Like I said, I'd heard it. They were like, but it was like, but every report was like, he's got a cameo role. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. Someone's like,
that's not a cameo.
No, that was the lie, I think. Like how
Yes.
Jason Isaacs said that he was dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I love that line when Philippa says, like, why do you wear glasses? And he's like, I like them. And I think they make me look smarter. It's like, oh my God. And also I love the idea that those are actually David Cronenberg's glasses, I think. I don't think that's a prop. His line about like, I'm not going to ask you anything by your nature.
You're going to lie.
You're going to lie. And she's like, well, then how do you hope to get anything from me? He's like, by letting you ask me anything. I was like, oh, damn.
Yep.
Oh, and her trick with the fucking AI holograms.
I've never heard of that before.
I never had either, but I kind of love it. I don't care if they just made it up for that episode. I love it.
I think they did.
They did, yeah.
What's weird is her knowing that implies that it's something that has been a glitch in the code for hundreds of years. Hundreds and hundreds of years.
I mean, she is first of her
that
name.
she just fucking picked it up. Oh, speaking of which, just the way they just casually dropped in all that shit about the alternate universe, like it's just common fucking knowledge.
By that time period, it would be.
Yeah, because even by DS9, it had become knowledge. Everyone knew how to do it. It literally could be done with a transporter.
Casual about it. And then the implication that the Terran Empire, well, not implication, he flat out said the Terran Empire is no more.
I almost think he implied that mirror universe is dead.
Well, no, what he said is that there hasn't been an incursion in 500 years because the two universes were no longer like adjacent to each other. They've spread out farther and farther over time, such that there's no way to even unintentionally hop back and forth.
Yep. She can never go home again.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Oh my God. What if there was like a mirror universe version of Control, and instead of destroying all life, it exerted ultimate control over all life?
It's entirely possible.
Which is still oppressive, but nobody's fighting if a sentient AI is like, I have ended war. I have ended ambition. I have ended everything.
Hive mind.
Even more than that, it's to an extent, but even more extreme than like a Borg hive mind.
And I mean, at any rate, I feel like that part of the conversation closed the door on the potential for any more mirror universe stuff happening in this series.
Potentially.
Which is fine because like they are finally future Star Trek that fans have actually been asking for.
Yeah.
Fans for years have gone, yes, we want more Star Trek, but can we please move beyond this or beyond this? How about we just go 1,000 years ahead of all other Star Trek so we can actually see something different?
And the smart thing is that the burn is the narrative gimmick that kind of ends the argument. One of the biggest arguments about putting Star Trek more and more in the future is like eventually the technology becomes so advanced that eventually you have to ask, why do they have ships? Why do they do any of this anymore as they become more and more advanced? You have the burn happen, effectively not ending the technology, but
hobbling it.
Yeah, hobbling it. It would be like if we had all of our modern tech that we have now, except you got rid of our ability to traverse the globe. Like it's gone. It basically would be like, well, they're kind of telling a peak oil scenario. If we lost oil tomorrow, we still have some technology. We'd have some ability. We have solar power. We have other ways to have power.
But things would be a mess for a while because we're not fully prepared to take on a different form of
and we use oil for fucking everything. All of a sudden now, like you're not gonna buy a new cell phone in a couple of years. Like you're gonna make this one work as long as you can. Because without petroleum products, they can't make it.
And intercontinental travel will stop.
Other than you go back to sail.
Yep.
Which takes weeks.
And is dangerous. You know.
Because the ocean does not care.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Will actively try and kill you.
Nature doesn't give a shit about you.
No.
And
it never does.
It's not like we could make a channel to any of the other areas we want to go to.
Not without oil.
Accepted.
That's true. I mean, humans probably could find a way, and it would probably be awful.
But not right away.
Yeah.
It is a recession of technology.
Yep.
Yes.
It's a future that companies like Lego are preparing for. That's why they're transferring all of their plastics to plant-based oil.
I'd heard that.
Oh, wow. That's
They've
amazing.
been working. They should transfer all of their bricks to plant-based plastic by 2030. They have already done so with anything that is they've basically been beta testing this. Anything that represents a plant in Legos currently, like plant leaves and or little tiny plants, those are all made with plant-based oil.
That's cool.
And have been since, I think, 2015.
Well, and I'm assuming they're doing it ethically. They're not,
Yes.
Because what's the point of doing that if they're not?
They're doing it as ethically as they can. They're still a corporation that makes $1 billion a year.
Sure.
I'm not going to say that they're benevolent.
Yeah. No, I get it.
They are designed to make profit, but they are trying to go they do have people inside the organization that say, "Hey, maybe we should do this."
There's probably only one benevolent corporation out there, and it's probably Ben and Jerry's, but they're owned by growers.
Why are they the only benevolent company in the world?
They treat their people really well. Both Ben and Jerry have been even recently arrested a lot for being in the Black Lives Matter protest. They're still in it.
They basically say all cops are bastards on their website.
On their website, yeah. No, they're
nice.
It's like, buy our ice cream. By the way, all cops are bastards.
Yeah.
Say Breonna Taylor's name. It's like,
they're
okay.
And then, but getting back to Trek really quick, just I have because we can't stay on this forever because we got Mandalorian and I want to maybe talk some stuff. Just on a personal note, I could watch Michelle Yeoh and David Cronenberg act together because their styles are so different. Like Michelle Yeoh is, especially as Georgiou, she's so dynamic and so commanding. Like she walks in the room, she's the only person in the room until she meets the wall of intellectual banality that is David Cronenberg. I don't mean that in an insult. Like he's the smart guy that doesn't need to prove to you that he's smart. His character.
Yeah, he doesn't have to prove to anybody that he's smart.
Yeah, so
he's
because
just
he
good
is.
old fashioned boring smart.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that means all of her pretense, all of her bravado is useless against him.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just brain on brain, and she hasn't had to do that yet. It's awesome.
Here's my theory for this. I don't think this is the last time that we're going. Like, I think we're still going to see his character throughout this season of Discovery. I don't think it's just a one-off cameo.
Mm-hmm.
Cameo. I also think this is a tease for what Section 31, the TV show, is going to be.
Yep.
I think it's going to be the two of them.
Or at the least, he convinces her to go back. Because if he goes back, then you have this whole thing about a character who has knowledge of the future.
What if she does? What if Section 31 doesn't take place in TOS era?
I guess that's true. They've never said it had to take place then, did they?
No,
But then wouldn't that go against the temporal accords?
No,
They're still Starfleet technically.
that's what I mean. They're not going to go back in time. I thought they were. I thought that they were still going to take Georgiou and she was going to go back and they were going to do Section 31 in that timeline. I don't know if they're going to.
That's
But then
Interesting,
how?
you're
But
right.
then how would any of the other Star Trek eras account for having a Section 31? Or you think
Well,
it's
'cause
just going to be modern, like
Because
No,
at the
I-
end
future
of
Section
at the end of
31?
season 2, they didn't disband Section 31. It just went under tighter.
It had to be reconstructed.
Yeah.
That's what Ash Tyler was working to do. He's like, I still believe in what Section 31 was doing. Let me continue to do that.
Right.
I don't know that Section 31 exists in this current iteration of Starfleet.
Oh, I just assumed David Cronenberg's character was Section 31.
I think he's what would be. So if he isn't already Section 31, I think the combination of those two characters become the new Section 31.
This whole time I just assumed that he was basically going to be recruiting her.
Sure. And that's just as valid a theory.
Yeah.
Quite honestly.
No, your concept is a little less on the nose, or a little less obvious, which probably means it's the better one, because I think that at this point we've established that Discovery has done a good job of not delivering exactly what you expect.
Mm-hmm.
Sack says Emperor Giorgio assassinated JFK.
That's awesome.
And then Norm says she whispered into Trump's ear to run for office.
Oh, she would never do that.
He wouldn't do that.
Yeah. The one thing she abhors more than touchy-feely things is stupidity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it would be against Earth, not the Terran Empire. So.
Oh, you mean she came here?
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Well, then maybe.
Oh yeah. So these are I'm sorry. These are ideas from the chat, based on the concept that Section 30, the show Section 31 would be somewhat akin to Legends of Tomorrow.
Well, I don't think they get to use time travel at all. Sorry, if that was my implication. I don't think there's going to be any more time travel.
Right, and that's what threw me for a loop, is because I just assumed that, like I said, I just assumed David Cronenberg was Section 31. He's going to recruit Giorgio, and then they're going to hop back in time to start dicking around with stuff, even though that's not what you're supposed to do.
I thought Giorgio was going to go back in time, but
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Because I thought that the Section 31 show was supposed to take place in the TOS era, but I don't know that that's true.
Right. I mean, yeah, it could go any which way out of all of the things that we've just been covering. Yeah. Or it could be none of those things.
My other quick just kind of comment is some of the fans wanting Owasekum and Detmer to be a couple, and it's like, no.
They are a couple. They're a couple of friends.
That's
Support each other.
Right. But you know what I mean though. It's like you know what? Could we just show like a couple of friends that are incredibly close that express like love for each other, but they're not knocking boots and in a relationship in that way? Like, you guys
We don't have to ship everybody.
Yeah, if you see two strong, powerful women, one of them going through some serious PTSD shit, and the other one looking at her and saying, "You got this. You can do it. You can do it." That doesn't mean they're dating. And
No.
I think it lessens their relationship if you make that assumption between them.
I find their relationship to be more akin to Chekhov and Sulu.
Yeah.
They sit at the helm of that ship day in and day out. And that's like, if you're flying that ship and the other person is navigating and keeping track of all operations on the ship,
yeah,
you have some serious fucking jobs.
Yeah, and when you're both off, you're probably also hanging out together because you're both going to be like, sharing a pint of ramen and ale and being like, "Could you fucking believe the shit we had to do today?"
Yeah, because no one else on the ship is going to understand.
Yeah, maybe Delta shift.
Maybe.
Yeah, they are work wives.
Mm-hmm.
They are each other's work wives in an environment where you don't get to go home.
Yep. I do agree. I think it's more important for them to be comrades and fellow officers that understand the workload that they have with one and can relate to one another that way. And seeing them have each other's back like that is very important.
It's also very much the same way, even though people love to make this joke that they're not. It's the same way I always have viewed O'Brien and Bashir.
Yeah.
They are arguably closer to each other than they are their significant others.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a sexual thing. But O'Brien and Bashir probably know and love each other a little bit more than O'Brien knows Keiko and eventually Bashir knows Esri Dax.
Mm-hmm.
They just click on that kind of level, and that just is what it is. And I think it's, especially in like modern storytelling, especially in Western storytelling, I think it's more radical to show them that way than to make it sexy and have them kiss,
Mm-hmm. It is.
No, I mean, people are always talking about like normalizing, deep, strong, heteronormative relationships. But there's not a lot of good examples necessarily.
Right.
Even shows about friendship, like I guess like the first one that comes to mind is like Friends, a show that's literally just about these friends and how they interact. Everyone was always cross dating one person or another. It was not always as much about like, well, these two dudes are really good friends and these two gals are really great friends, even closer than they are to their significant others.
Right.
So yeah, I think I think that what we're going to get is basically a modern version of Bashir and O'Brien.
Oh yeah, and I think
obviously we're not going to have a bunch of scenes of them recreating the Alamo because that's just not how they film anymore.
No,
but they have a lot of history together too, because weren't they both on the ship captained by the original? No, just Detmer.
Detmer.
Okay.
Yeah.
The three people that ended up coming over from the Shenzhou were Saru, Burnham, and Detmer.
There was one more, wasn't there? One with the robot head?
Yeah, but she's dead.
No, that was a different.
Oh wait, I'm sorry.
That was a completely different character.
Oh, okay.
That one had a full-on robot head versus Arium, which was a cybernetic being. The robot-headed one looked like he was escaped from Daft Punk and was also male.
Okay. No, I'm sorry. You're right. What I am thinking of was the fully like robot body cybernetic person. They were on the. What was the name of that ship? I can't even remember anymore. The Shenzhou.
Yep.
Okay. So four, but one of them is long gone.
No, that robot one didn't end up on the Discovery.
No. Cool.
Discovery is Arium.
Okay.
Arium was a completely different character, and she She went during season 2, but the actress is still on the show. She's Lieutenant Nielsen, I think.
The
Sorry.
blonde?
Yes.
Have you guys, really quick, have you guys looked at the chat right now? They're just talking about Emperor Jojo told Xerxes where to go to the goat path.
Jesus.
Emperor Jojo canceled TOS. Emperor Jojo said the Star Wars holiday special was a good idea.
Good.
Well, I think that bit of levity is a good way to roll into some Mandalorian.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
So good.
So I feel like both Discovery and Mandalorian are having dueling cameos.
Just say it. It's that fucking Bo-Katan.
Well,
That
no,
was-
we knew she was coming. We
I
knew
know,
she
but
was
I
coming.
I didn't know she was coming.
But I wasn't ready to see
didn't.
that.
And what's annoying is like I recognized the helmet design, but and then she took her helmet off, and I was like, I know her, but I couldn't get her name until after she said it. Son of
I just had that moment of like,
should have had that.
Starbuck is Bo-Katan. Sorry,
The
Katie. I know you mean.
the celebrity stunt casting is Titus as the Imperial officer of the ship. Like, that was great.
That was pretty good. Yeah. I wonder. I feel like we're gonna get a cameo every episode now.
I do. And I think it's going to be on both shows. Like, they keep having, like, was it last week we had Paul Sun-Hyung Lee from Kim's Convenience on Mandalorian, but on Discovery we had the woman who's also on Schitt's Creek. It's like,
Yep.
What are you guys doing? What is going on? I feel like
Man, there's a lot of Canadians in our shows now.
I'm
yeah,
okay with that.
That's fine. Yeah.
Bring your
they're both
socialism with you.
filmed there.
Right. Yeah. No. Yeah. I know. Yeah.
No, Mando was great. This was Bryce Dallas Howard's second directorial,
Man, they love
Alright.
giving her the action episodes.
and she's good at it too.
Good at it.
Because she's the actor from action films that, when given an action movie or an action TV show, knows to put in small character moments that make you care.
Right. Well, but did you watch the Disney Gallery when all the directors were sitting around
Yes.
That's the very first one, isn't it?
talking? Maybe.
Yeah.
I just love the
I
fact
only
that like
recently started watching it. and
I just
saw
love the
that.
fact that every director like flat out admitted because last season was Bryce Dallas Howard's directorial debut.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, we flat out gave her the most technically challenging one to direct because since she hadn't done it before, she didn't know to be afraid.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, that's cold and
Yep.
100% correct.
Yep.
You know?
On location shots, check.
Water?
Action shots, check. Water, check. Children, check. Giant robots, check.
And she was like, I had a great time. They're like, yeah, we wouldn't have.
Yep. But that's where she talked about too, where she's like, yeah, I tried to find these moments with the characters so they could just be
Right.
themselves and have this really close, intimate moment before they take on this ATST. It's like,
Which made me think of something. Do you think there was a time during season 1 when they were assigning directorial jobs that like Bryce Dallas Howard like talked to her dad and he's like, oh baby, I'm so proud of you. I can't wait. You're gonna be great. Ask me anything. And then Ron Howard picks up the phone, calls Jon Favreau and says, you're an asshole. Like, dude, she has no idea what she's about to go through. And he's like, she's a Howard. He's
She'll
like,
be great.
Come on, man. Give my daughter a break. No. You know?
I'm glad they didn't, because man, she's putting out some great work.
Yeah.
Like,
It was pointed out that the opening scene with Din Djarin having to manually land the ship, land is a loose term here, that was very very much an homage to Apollo 13.
Oh yeah.
I
I could see
All
that.
right.
Speaking of Ron Howard,
Yeah.
I wouldn't
Nice.
have really thought of that, but it's kind of a nice touch.
Yeah. I think it's cool.
there were all kinds of little things in that episode, but yeah, I'm also I've been spouting theories all night, and I'm going to continue. So Sasha Banks' character is credited on IMDb as a character named Casca.
Mm-hmm.
I cry bullshit. Everything about her physical attitude
Yeah.
and the way she carried herself says Sabine Wren. I think she's Sabine Wren incognito.
Because Sabine in Rebels is relatively young, right?
Yes.
When we last see her, she's in her early 20s.
Yeah, so like age-wise, this could, yeah.
By this age, she would be mid to late 20s.
Well, there's a good chance they're going to have to recast and bring in another character to play the Cara Dune role if Gina Carano doesn't, stop.
Get in more hot water.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Super.
it's one thing to be conservative. It's another thing to be spouting conspiracy theories and.
She's migrated over to Parler.
Yeah.
Unless there's an intervention, I don't see her coming back from this for a bit.
And the only one I could see her doing it, giving her one, would be Carl Weathers.
Yep.
Being like, listen, girl, I've been doing this a long time.
I love you. Shut up.
Shut up.
Why am I not finding anything about Casca?
If you want to feel this way, but shut it.
What do you mean not finding anything?
I'm not familiar with that character, at least not off the top of my head.
She's new, right?
Yeah. She's not a character. This is listed as who she is.
Oh, gotcha. I don't know. I assumed it was an existing character. But either way, you're like, no, that's crap.
Yeah, like the way that she was just kind of relaxing or posing or had that little hip cock. It's like, you're Sabine. Why are you not? Because they didn't bother to name her in the episode. They didn't call her out, and yet she had speaking lines. So she's going to be recurring. But like the trick is her hair is normal, and she's not wearing her signature armor. She's wearing the armor of Bo-Katan's clan. But I still think it's Sabine. And she's hiding for whatever reason. Or she's deliberately showing support for Bo-Katan.
Right, because they know each other, don't they? They've had some episodes together.
In Rebels, Sabine is the reason Bo-Katan has the Darksaber and took control of Mandalore before the Purge.
I do remember now.
Yes, that's also why I think it's Sabine, because it's like there's very few other Mandalorians that Bo-Katan would take on as no, I trust you more than anybody else. That list is like 5 people, and Sabine Wren is one of them. And Ahsoka Tano is another.
And now we know Ahsoka Tano is also on that list currently. I'm assuming we're going to get to see her finally next episode this week.
Yeah, I think so. If the episode isn't solely focused on her, then she'll be the one that appears at the end of the episode as oh, God damn it. And then we have to wait till episode 5. This was the 4th episode. Jesus.
The internet is pretty agree with you that Sasha Banks is Sabine Wren. And
interesting.
I can definitely see it. Yeah, if you type in The Mandalorian Sasha Banks, you're gonna get a ton of Sabine Wren stuff.
But because look at Sasha Banks. Like, she looks like the way they drew Sabine Wren.
She really does. And honestly, I had not made that connection when I was watching the episode. I just figured it must be a character I'm not familiar with yet. Although you say that, I don't remember us seeing Sasha Banks in anything but that hooded cloak.
That's the first time we saw her until...
Yeah, and then she's the other Mandalorian.
Was she?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Oh, yeah, she's right fucking there.
Yeah, with the braids.
She's there the whole time.
With like one of my favorite hairstyles.
It's super cute. I can dig it.
I do appreciate that by using Bo-Katan, they were able to give us a 30-second explanation of why there is a difference in Din Djarin's beliefs about Mandalorians and what we've learned about Mandalorians from Rebels.
Yes. I basically when the Mandalorian first came on, and I guess ever since, I really just assumed this was just a part of the Mandalorian culture that had never really been discussed. But Bo-Katan basically called him out as someone from Death Watch, right? Or whatever iteration of Death Watch.
The children of the Watch.
Yeah.
Yes. And kind of makes them out to be a bit of an extremist group, which is a little bit of a weird direction to take it in.
I think she can do that because she's part of Death Watch.
Or at least was.
She was part of Death Watch. Sabine Wren is still part of Death Watch. Her clan was part of Death Watch. Death Watch is who saved Din Djarin.
I might have to revisit some of those Rebels episodes because
I think
it's not just Rebels. It's also Clone Wars. That very specifically that season of because that's where we're introduced to Death Watch in the first place. Jon Favreau's character is the leader of Death Watch.
Are we getting Ahsoka this week?
I think so.
Like I was saying, I think if we don't get a full episode of Ahsoka, we're getting Ahsoka as the appearance at the end cliffhanger.
Right. Because they've already said that because Disney always puts a trailer up like 24 hours after the show debuts, unlike Discovery that goes next week on Star Trek, which is a classic Trek thing.
Yep.
They've given the trailer and it's all but confirmed we're getting Cara Dune and Carl Weathers. Forgetting his name. Grief Karga.
Yeah.
Grief Karga. So I mean, the whole season's already shot, so I don't know what Cara Dune's role is in this season, but it's not like Disney can go back and say like, well, we're gonna write her out. Like you can't do it now.
Right. No, it was too late in the
like,
process.
Yeah, and like we've talked this before with Greg on the show about the drawbacks of cancel culture, not letting people grow. But I feel like Gina Carano is unfortunately digging those heels in and just doesn't. You know.
Yep.
I don't know. It's disappointing, but overall, it's pretty easy come, easy go in my mind because I was never invested in Gina Carano before.
Yeah,
she was on
The
Mandalorian.
I'll enjoy The Mandalorian. I'll enjoy Cara Dune, but like won't seek any of her work out in the future unless there's oh my God, I was so wrong, and I'm going to make amends and work to be a better human. Like, okay.
Which, in general, I think is still like anywhere between 3 to 5 years off.
Yeah, because like I said, there's a big difference between being.
Yeah.
There's a difference between having conservative political leanings and spouting words that is actively harmful, and that's kind of where she's at right now, which is unfortunate. Not a lot of Yodito, which was fine. You know,
so I'm trying to remember the episode previous to this. Mrs. Frog talks about her eggs being the last clutch of eggs that she's going to be producing in her life. And that's why it's important for her to connect with her spouse to fertilize.
Yeah, go ahead.
So it's the end of her line.
Not the end of the species.
Okay. That's what I was trying to figure out because everyone keeps going, oh, it's genocide. And I'm like, how? That she's not wiping out a species.
Everyone forgets that line she has where she says it's the end of our line.
Okay.
I think she said specifically the end of my line. It's her last clutch of eggs.
So basically what we're saying is, dear everyone, go please read the definition of what genocide actually is.
Right.
And I mean, I'll admit that I use the word genocide also, and knowing that was not exactly the correct term, because yes, it's just this one frog lady, and it's her last batch of eggs.
Like,
It would be like, I mean,
go ahead.
not to be weird. KB, you have a sister, right?
Me? Yes.
Yeah. Now, does she take her partner's name, or does she keep your family name?
She hyphenated.
Okay. So if she hadn't, by the rules of genealogy, Cable is the last of his line.
Mhm.
Unless you have cousins that have the name. You know what I mean?
Because on paper, he's the last Hashitani.
That's what she's saying.
Yep. And I don't mean to diminish the, oh my God, it's horrifying that he's eating the unborn young of this creature. Like,
Not even unborn, unfertilized.
Unfertilized. Yes, that is weird and creepy and strange to run as a joke.
But there is an implication that she's had other offspring.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And also he's not killing an entire species.
No. If you actually pay attention to exactly what she said, it's really not a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, it is. It's still weird and it's still fucked up, but it also is no reason to demonize a child, because they don't know yet.
Also, they're all puppets.
If he's 5 or if he's 50.
Yeah, that's right. They're also puppets.
Yeah.
Yes, but I also try to go on the side of, if you're going to invest in the science fiction, then you need to start looking at things from outside of a human viewpoint. If you are ascribing human morals and ethics, that is specious.
And I just saw that whole scene of like I did laugh at it. I went like, oh, but then I went, oh, damn it, baby.
I mean, it is a little
that was the moment of like, damn it, baby.
It was meant to be funny. And I mean, it's a weird thing to be hung up on, is like, okay, this one alien is eating this other alien's unfertilized eggs. Mm-hmm. That's not great. You know what else is not great? Cloning human beings so that they can fight your war for you thousands upon thousands at a time. And no one canceled Star Wars for that, so it's not, you have no leg to fucking stand on. I'm sorry.
Again, specious. We are ascribing human, specifically Terran morals and ethics to things that are not of this world.
Right.
That's a whole nother element.
So to reference another Disney project from, as of all things, 1983, they did a movie called Never Cry Wolf about the scientist who goes to, it's actually, from what I remember, it could be horrible now. Last time I saw it, I was like 10. He goes to, and it's one of like when Disney was doing those fictional documentaries kind of thing of like, you know what, the wolves in Alaska are being wiped out. We need to fix it. So we're going to write this movie about it. There's a scene where he's living in the Alaskan bush because he wants as little contact as possible to study these wolves. And he starts to run out of food. And his little encampment area has been overrun with mice. And he realizes that the wolves eat the mice, so he should probably be able to eat them also. And he starts to trap the mice, and he cooks them as stews, like he eats them. And there's a part where like he starts to eat the mice because he wants to try to also live like eat what the wolves ate. Like that's his whole thing. And he's got this bowl with these like stewed mice in it. And he holds one up to his mouth with a fork. And then he looks around his encampment and realizes that the mice are looking at him. And the way it's shot, they have eyes like, what are you doing? And at first he's like trepidatious, and you can see him like, well, this is weird. And then finally he just goes, he just starts to eat them. I'm like, yes, I'm gonna eat you. I'm gonna eat all of you. My brain went back to that scene of like Yoda not knowing any better and going, and like, you know, and I love the Mandalorian being like, don't do that. No, spit it out.
Well, in this episode, it was the alive cephalopod. And at the end of the episode, it's on the ship and it's gonna get him. Like it's like about to attack him until Din catches it. And then the next time you see it, it's going down Baby Yoda's gullet.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. But like there's a scene when the frogs have their tadpole.
Mm-hmm.
Like
I know, in a bowl. I could put it in a fucking bowl.
I know. Like I'm sure I never once thought that he was going to try to eat it. Now it's like, well, this is cute now. I'm not going to mess with it.
No,
And
it's
the
a little
parents
late.
were there. Yeah.
See, and I didn't think he was going to eat that either. I think the threat
No, I didn't
was
think
there,
so. No.
which makes it funny, and that felt very much like Bryce Dallas Howard's humor. It's like, we need to shoot it like this because taking from the previous episode, that's going to continue that joke and continue that humor.
Right.
I also look at it from the standpoint of someone else on the internet pointed out that when they encounter the ice spiders, the child wanders past several other eggs and goes for the one that has the dead one in it. Which means that gets back into, okay, if he is any sort of apex predator, if he can already tell which are going to be unviable eggs or dead offspring or weak or injured, that makes him a very efficient predator. So
what if it's
he wasn't eating eggs that were going to be children. He was eating unfertilized eggs that were non-viable.
that means he has a connection to the living force.
Yes.
Well, we know he's force capable.
He's more than force capable.
We haven't seen him do anything in a while, but he can manipulate the force, and knowing what we know about Yoda, it would make sense that he's that much more sensitive.
I mean, there's force sensitive, and then there's what we've seen the child do. He held that mud thing at bay. Mudboard. He damn near choked out Cara Dune.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's right.
And he pushed fire away.
Mm-hmm.
Like that shit that Luke took years to do.
He powerful. Also,
Luke was still younger.
Oh, that's right. Baby Yoda's 50. Kyle in the chat says replace Cara Dune with Frog Lady.
Right. Or just give us just give us Sabine.
I'll take Sabine. Oh hell, I'll take Sabine.
Man. Yep.
She's great.
All right. Well, before we wrap up the show tonight, I want to do a quick little talk about the D&D book I got today.
All right.
Oh. So I got it from our sponsor, Guardian Games. I picked up Tasha's Cauldron of Everything. It's not going to be like a deep dive review. It's just going to be like my kind of quick thoughts on it. My first initial thought is this is the most fun I've had with a D&D source book in years. Like Xanathar's Guide to Everything was fun. Was it Volo's Guide to
Monsters?
Yeah, those were both fun. Tasha's Cauldron of Everything feels like the first one that will really will honestly expand your playing experience as a player and a DM and a world builder. There's not as much. It's not the biggest source book ever. It feels like there's not a lot in it, but what is in it is really strong. It's very fun. Whoever wrote the kind of side note dialogue for Tasha was hilarious. She's very snarky. The dialogue of what she says actually also feels very modern. There's even a live deliciously joke in there, which is just wonderful. They've built some interesting mythology through her to really expand. The Tasha's book feels like the first time where Wizard of the Coast is acknowledging that D&D has a multiverse. And not just like, you can adapt this to Greyhawk, you can adapt this to Dark Sun or Forgotten Realms. This is the first one that seems to actively acknowledge that D&D is a multiverse and you are free to travel between all of them. And she has been to all of them. It has little tiny references, like when it breaks in the patron system, which is very fun. The patron system is basically a very powerful person, be it a demigod or even a criminal organization, basically gives providence and power to an entire gaming, an adventuring party that can influence how they work. One of the little side references in the artwork shows King Oslin as a potential patron spying on Barovia. And if you're an old school Ravenloft fan, you're like, oh, that makes total sense. There's been no reference of Oslin since fucking second edition, but here he is. Like, it's like through this book, they're acknowledging the D&D multiverse and are bringing it back into the game not as source books, but as permission to be like, have fun. Everything you remember from first edition till now, it's all still part of D&D. Just because we don't do the books anymore doesn't mean you can't incorporate it. And this is what this source book feels like it does. It gives some really fun player options now for like subclasses that I can't wait to have Greg and Lindsay back on to kind of break it down also. It gives subclasses that are a lot of fun. Denise, there's a bard subclass that you absolutely cannot let Christian hear about.
What is it?
I think it's basically it's the college of that's like the college of words or whatever. It's basically just killing people with compliments and their own ego. But there's also another subclass of bard where he can let inanimate objects dance for him while he sings. It's a solid book. It's a great, I actually would recommend it to anyone that's running a D&D game. If the book has one drawback, it makes me want to start a campaign brand new, so everyone can kind of start at the same spot. And it just has little elements that I'm glad D&D is finally getting to. It's a very inclusive book. Like gender terms are kind of flip-flopped or used or not used. They kind of bounce all around from he, she, they. There's no one uniform to kind of reflect the world. It just bounces around by whatever they're talking about at the time. Even in the artwork, they put little things in that makes the game feel more inclusive. An example being on the chapter on patrons, there's a patron. You can create a patron that's academic, your academic patron, and you create like a college, or you create a grand professor or whatever. But one of the benefits of a patron is that if a couple people in your party do this action, the whole party gets the knowledge. That's one of the perks of a patron. Mm-hmm. And the artwork they use for this one scene to describe it is it shows like 3 wizards in the background practicing spells, while basically there's like 2 college students who are just like cuddling on the bed. And I know that sounds weird, but the caption says, a wizard apprentice and his boyfriend will relax together while their classmates learn. The suggestion being that since the classmates are learning, they will pick it up too through the patron function. But it's the fact that like one of the first times in D&D, it's one piece of artwork and one caption, but it's a same-sex couple in D&D, which I don't personally ever remember seeing within a D&D book proper. So it's got a lot of little things like that. The artwork's great. If you can find it, I definitely recommend getting the variant cover of the book because it's fucking gorgeous.
I'm gonna jump in here with this. If you
do
want
not like
one,
it? Oh, I'm sorry.
If you want one from Guardian, I think we have 10 spots available for our second shipment that comes in tomorrow, and that's it.
It's beautiful.
It is absolutely gorgeous, and I want to surprisingly thank Wizards of the Coast for this. With Rime of the Frost Maiden and with Tasha's Cauldron, this is 100% you can only get it from your brick and mortar game store.
Oh, really?
Amazon does not have a copy of this at all. You cannot get this from Amazon. You cannot get this from online resellers. Right. Well, you can get it from online resellers, but you can't get it from online stores that are first run sellers. You have to get it from a brick and mortar hobby store.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. Good on you, Wizards.
And thus it is extremely limited. Like once this print run is done, if you get one within the next couple of days, congratulations. After that, there aren't any more. There just aren't. It's absolutely gorgeous work. It reminds me a lot of Jenny Frisson.
Very much so, yeah.
And it's printed in metallic ink. So it's absolutely gorgeous.
So I found the quote. The quote is a barbarian subclass for Path of the Wild Mage. So it's a barbarian that has wild talents. doesn't make the barbarian a spellcaster. The wild talents activate when they go into rage, which is fantastic.
Nice.
But the quote, basically every kind of primal, every path has a Tasha quote. And the one for Path of Wild Magic says, I don't recommend letting magic take the reins, but I'm not your mom. Live deliciously.
I feel like what that reminds me of is when Lindsay does her color commentary on the more like fact-based stuff that Greg opens up with.
Mhm.
He'll give us like this introduction, and then immediately after, Lindsay usually has something very humorous to say.
Indeed.
Yes. So I highly recommend it. One day when we can live in person or game in person, I'm going to run I've got the Legendary Curse of Strahd is on the way, which I combined with the other one that I bought from Guardian because I'm a fucking Ravenloft mark. I think I'm going to run that with brand new players and characters if folks want to join, and we have room. The one caveat is I'm picking the patron, and I think you're all gonna, it's gonna be, because reading this have given me some ideas. I mean, Tasha's teacher and mentor is Baba Yaga, which is great. So much so that even in some of the flavor texts of the book, Tasha mentions how when she was a child and learning magic, she would annoy Baba Yaga by putting chicken legs on all her spells. And by the way, there's rules in this now about visual changes to spells, which I'm so glad D&D finally made official. And one of them is basically all the visual cues of your spells can look like farm animals. So like the picture they show is a farmer wizard casting magic missile, and it looks like a bunch of spiritual chickens being thrown at an enemy. It's wonderful.
Nice.
So it's a good book. I highly recommend it. I'm not the best at reviewing games anymore. Those days are long since past for me. It's very rare that I have legitimate fun reading a D&D book. I'll get inspiration. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's interesting. I'll work that in. Tasha's Cauldron and Everything is also just fun to read. Plenty of ideas and inspiration for any DM or player. I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I think that's the definite selling point is it is not just for DMs. So much supplemental work that comes out for D&D is just for DMs. This is also for players.
Yeah.
Which is why so many people want this book.
Yeah, and even the chapters that might be very DM centric, it's not like you're getting secrets away. It's still cool to read. The book also very much encourages the players to be like, if you want to do this, sit down with your DM. Sit down with them and say, this is what I want to do, and work with it. And then before I wrap up, one more thing I appreciate this book does. This book addresses something that D&D has needed to address for a long, long time. And that is hard and soft lines that the players are willing to cross. In terms of story content, what you're willing to tell and accept. And it talks about, hard lines and soft lines. And it says, like, it encourages DMs and players, before you even play, when you have like the session 0, sit down and all have an honest talk about what you are willing to play. Because it's not just a game. It's very much, it's a story with, real, it's fake characters, but real people are playing that. And their own life experiences are going to be influenced by and with the game. So, you know what? If you have a few players that wouldn't be comfortable with elements of sexuality in the game, say it up front. And the book really says that, like, say what your hard and soft and hard lines are. That, like, you know what, we can tell a story that maybe talks about bad racial issues, but it can't be the focus. Or if it is, it's got to be something the players are trying to fix, because I'm not comfortable with that, because I deal with that in the real world. That's kind of what this chapter in this book says, of like, talk this out. Don't just do the line of like, well, it's a fantasy game, so none of it's real, so I can do whatever I want. Which has been the attitude for many gamers for a long, long time. It's not real, so I can do this horrible thing in the game.
Why are you upset?
Yeah, why are you
Why
upset?
Are you uncomfortable?
I'm not actually putting you in change and making you a sex slave. It's not real. Like, okay.
Please see Westworld.
That is
Right.
that is very much it feels like I think D&D for the modern society.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? That's not a bad thing.
Oh no, not at all.
It reminds me. I was at I bought a copy of Dragon magazine at a bookstore a couple years ago, a used bookstore from like 1982, and there was a letter in there from a woman talking about what it's like to play D&D, and that quote, she's like, but things are getting better, and I mean, maybe in a decade, we'll all be in an even playing ground. The things she wrote about are the things I still read about women and BIPOC people dealing with now at a gaming table, and I'm like, oh shit, we
Has it
haven't
been more
gotten
than
better.
10 years?
No.
It's been way more than 10 years. Like the same thing she wrote about, I'm like, check. Oh, okay, I guess we got to be better. And as a gaming supplement, I think Tasha's is the right step in getting there. So
That's nice to hear.
yeah,
It's a book that I don't have a use for, and I've still wanted to buy it. So
yeah. Oh, I have many role-playing books like that. Far too many.
Yeah, I don't know that I necessarily need it, but I'm tempted to spend the money on it just to support the concept.
That's fair.
I feel like you would get use out of it, though.
I kind of think you would be, especially because you've talked about trying to expand the type of characters you play.
Right. No, that's true. I just don't have any like urgent need for it to like go out and buy it now. It seems more like the sort of thing I would need if I join a new campaign or some such.
The standard copy is going to be readily available throughout its time because it's going to stay in publication. It's just the special edition one. So
yeah, I mean, I'm just assuming you're going to be in my Curse of Strahd game when I get to launch it.
Yeah, probably.
good.
I got to figure out how many players I can handle in that. Getting a lot of requests.
No.
You got weekends off now, sucker. So
I
you are
do.
definitely at the top of my list of people who are going to come back to
That's
gaming.
why I said, let me know.
Oh yeah, no, you're in. That's two. Well, should we wrap up the show, friends?
I think so.
Yeah, I think we covered everything we intended to today, and we're in better moods than when we got
You're
here.
in
So
much better moods.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not even the alcohol. I've had a beer.
I had a cider from. I like these new cans. I
haven't seen the new cans yet, but having his face kind of freaks me out.
Let me turn off my virtual background.
yes, please.
So I can actually
turn off mine too.
So Abbey Spice is the new seasonal. If you liked the pear, there's still some of the pear left, but this is the new can, and there
Abbey Spice has a kick.
Is Nat?
Oh,
Yeah,
who's the artist on that?
I don't know.
I don't remember. I was actually part of the focus group to pick that.
Were you?
My
Nice.
answer was always like, well, I like how they used to look. I don't need your face. And he's like, yeah, but we're going to have my face. So pick my best face. I'm like, all right.
I think it's good. It blurs. It's right in that sweet spot between realist
Mhm.
and caricature.
Cartoonish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like so it's not fully cartoon. It's not fully a caricature, but it's not photorealist. So it's
my
real
note.
Nice.
My note on that artwork when I said this is my favorite because they went through a company to whatever, you know what I mean. So the RevNats is getting bigger, so when you got to get bigger, you got to do certain things.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's our new Newman's own, Nat's own.
Oh man, that's awesome. So when I picked that one, it says, well, why do you think that way? And I was like, well, it's, it feels like the balance between the serious brewer and the like kind of the wacky creator. And I said, and also the look that he's given the people who pick up the can are going to say, I'm going to fuck you up, but you're going to like it. So
Yep.
I got to place my order Abbey Spice time.
Yep.
Abbey Spice has got a kick.
I still have cherry pie in the fridge.
Mm. Yeah, we were out, so we did an order on Sunday. So thank you again, Nat.
Thank you again, Nat, for
everyone at Nat's.
That's right.
Yes.
For keeping our
Nat et al. For being awesome.
Yep.
Official alcoholic beverage of COVID-19 2020.
That's right. Yeah, cheesy Pete.
Oh yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
Well. Mm-hmm.
Next week, don't have any ideas.
More
Oh,
Star talking.
Well, yeah.
I don't know why I couldn't think of this early enough to do it this week, but I remembered it enough to bring it up now. We could bring back Airbender
Mm-hmm.
if you guys are still interested in that.
Yep.
I am. I just don't have a lot of time to watch more stuff.
You don't have to watch it necessarily. Cable wants to watch it. Does
I will
Cable have
watch it.
time?
I will make time.
There we
We can
go.
start that.
We have a quorum.
How many episodes per do we need to watch per?
Let me see if I
podcast?
can map out arcs. But I
Okay.
know that the first arc is 2 episodes. So let's start with that for next week. The first 2
Okay.
episodes.
First 2 episodes. Got it. I can do that.
Huzzah!
That's less than an hour of time.
Perfect. And eventually, we got to get Greg back on. Rucka.
Talk about. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we
we
just haven't been able to pull it off. Schedules and stuff.
I figure next week is gonna be kind of wibbly wobbly anyway because it's
Oh, wait a minute.
Thanksgiving week.
Is that? Oh.
Yes. Next Thursday is Thanksgiving. A proper, I believe.
Are we having
Mhm.
a show next week then?
I guess that's a good question.
I say no.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Unless
The difference is we've been
unless you
broadcasting on
want
Tuesday.
unless you want me to be incredibly hammered on the show, which is what I plan on being by then.
Let's skip a week for the holiday
Sure.
and come back strong in December.
Well, December. No.
Yeah, isn't that the last?
No.
That
Wait.
next Tuesday, the 24th,
Oh, you're right, yeah.
is the
All right,
last
so we're-
Tuesday of the month.
So we're taking the 25th off. We'll see everybody in November. November 2nd or 3rd, whatever
December.
that Tuesday is.
December.
December 1st.
See, you need a break.
Yeah.
You have no idea.
There's a calendar.
So we're taking next week off.
Okay.
And December, we will be back with Airbender.
December
Probably.
1st. Okay.
And,
cool.
and probably other things, hopefully other things.
A double dose of Star talking at that point.
Yes. There we go. Now we're talking.
All right. Well, with that, I'm Aaron Duran,
I'm Pinarita.
And I'm Cable Hashitani.
and we will talk to everybody next week.
2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.